Issues with Cartoons, the show about comics and cartoons. My name is Kyle Windle.
My name is Carl Lucas.
And we are back with Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes Season 2 with Episode 6, Michael Korvac, which is adapting one of the, probably when I was coming up, one of the more often talked about, like, Avengers events. One of them that I kept reading about was the Korvac Saga, which is loosely adapted in this episode.
I think they did a good job after reading all the comics of really bringing it all together.
Yeah,
because it's a saga. It is a saga.
Yeah,
in comics.
It's like 8 issues, and actually, in a rarity for me, a little behind the scenes, what I normally do is I'll watch the episode and then read the comics.
Yeah,
I read the comics first, and I liked doing it that way this time because I was able to see kind of the DNA of the comics in the episode, which I thought was helpful.
I did it the same way, actually.
Yeah,
I read the books and then watched
so
it.
we're gonna, if you stay tuned, in the second half, we're gonna talk about the Korvac Saga event that this is adapting. But just for context, again, we need to put that on a T-shirt. But for context, the Korvac Saga is one of a handful of classic Avengers events that continue to get referred to as like historical Avengers storylines that kind of happened like before the modern era.
Kyle, I wanted to ask you, was this brought up in the DK books as a part of Avengers lore? Like,
certainly.
did this have a section in the Avengers
page?
And the Avengers DK book, was this like, did they have panels from this?
I'm so mad that I didn't think to check before I got over here.
I wanted to ask you that though.
I would expect there's a page because I feel like when I say classic Marvel, I'm calling that anything before Onslaught. I think of as like classic Avengers.
Yeah.
Okay, like the original first volume run.
Before the movies took over.
Well, I'll even say like before the '90s boom and bust is I kind of think classic Marvel, classic Avengers. Like all of that stuff. Anything that came after that was pretty much whenever we started reading. All of that was kind of when they tried to reinvent themselves for Hollywood, right? Mm-hmm. So like when I think of classic Avengers events, I think of like the Kree Skrull War. I think of like the Celestial Madonna. I think of
Siege.
Under Siege, definitely, which we've talked about on the show. The Kang Dynasty, and then the Korvac Saga is another one that I think is like kind of like a prestige Avengers event. So it makes sense that it would get at least an episode here. Ultron is another one. Ultron.
Oh yeah, sure. Ultron's a huge part of the lore. The Avengers lore.
Avengers Forever. I could go on, but specifically with this episode, let's just talk about this episode, and then we'll kind of extract from it as we go along. Things that tie into the comic.
Time travel back to May 6, 2012.
Well, I'm glad you bring up that year though, because Carl, this is written by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, who, if you were a reader of cosmic Marvel comics in the mid 2000s, like I was. You know Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning as the brains behind the Annihilation event.
That was popular. I never read it, but it was popular.
From the Annihilation event, spun out the modern Nova run that predated Sam Alexander's, like the last great Richard Rider run.
Okay.
An excellent cosmic Marvel story. And more pertinent to this coverage, it spun out the modern version of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So the version of the Guardians of the Galaxy that we know with Star-Lord and Gamora and Drax and Groot and Rocket, that started with Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning's Annihilation event. I think actually specifically it was Annihilation Conquest, which was like the sequel event. I think that created...
Yeah.
Regardless, it happened in 2008. So 2008 was the new Guardians of the Galaxy. 2012, this episode aired. The Guardians of the Galaxy movie with Chris Pratt didn't come out until 2012. So Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning are the first domino to the DCU movie universe that we get now, because James Gunn got his start in major Marvel superheroes with Guardians of the Galaxy.
To sum it up, basically what you're saying is Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning's takes on these characters are proto MCU
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy on paper.
The popularity of their comic, which was, we've talked before, like a mid-level book, but even so, like, no one expected it.
Mm-hmm.
Their take on the Guardians is what inspired Kevin Feige and Marvel to make a film with these characters. And they put James Gunn in charge, and that started the whole domino effect that led to James Gunn taking over the DC universe.
Right, James Gunn's Superman, which we have a review of.
Yeah, exactly. So I just bring it up. I think it's interesting that Abnett and Lanning get a chance to cross over into television here.
Yeah,
because they are significant to comics pop culture in a pretty significant way.
This is probably the first appearance of Guardians of the Galaxy animated in a modern context.
I looked this up, and it is the first time they were ever adapted anywhere.
There you go.
The Guardians of the Galaxy in this episode.
And it's a cool adaptation of the characters.
It's a great take on the characters.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Like, when Rocket showed up, I started laughing. Like, they do a really funny introduction for Rocket.
I love this version of the characters.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll go ahead and just, since we're already talking about it, it's hard not to talk about the Guardians when you're talking about Abnett and Lanning.
They kind of steal the show a little bit.
So,
from Korvac.
The Korvac Saga we'll discuss in the second half, but it features pretty prominently the Guardians of the Galaxy from the Silver Age, we'll say.
Yeah.
So the original Guardians of the Galaxy, if you're not aware, was a super team from the far future, from the 31st century, kind of like the Legion of Superheroes.
I was about to make that comparison. They are. They're yeah.
And I think probably were a response to the Legion of Superheroes. I think that was probably intentional.
They're a superhero team from the future that, like, comes into our time.
And one of their main characters, much like Superboy, is a time-displaced character from our timeline who appears in the future as the audience kind of surrogate.
And there's a Yondu.
Yeah, so Yondu is a character played by Michael Rooker in the... So these characters are all repurposed. Most of them are Ravagers in the MCU, but you have Yondu, who's the archer with a fin. You have Martinex, who's the crystal guy, played by Michael Rosenbaum. Starhawk, who's played by Sylvester Stallone, is like this big cosmic character. And you have Charlie 27, who's this big giant clone muscle character who's played by Ving Rhames in the movies. Nikki, I can't recall offhand who played Nikki. I think Alita was played by Michelle Yeoh. But I can't remember who played Nikki in the movie. But she doesn't get a very big part.
But
she's the little fire-haired sprite character.
Yeah, when the Ravengers show up, it's almost like a throwaway Sylvester Stallone cameo.
But that version of the Guardians, we talked about the female Yellow Jacket character in Under Siege.
Yes.
That's the character. That's the team she ends up joining. She goes to the future and joins this version of the Guardians that we're going to read about in the Korvac Saga. I bring all this up again for context because in 2008, that title had pretty much fallen out. Like, no one had been using it. They had a cameo in Avengers Forever, which I mentioned earlier. That's the only time I'd ever read about them. I knew that they appeared in the Korvac Saga, but Abnett and Lanning repurposed that brand for this group of characters. So, since the original Guardians played a part in the original Korvac Saga, they just repurposed their new team for this Korvac Saga, which I think is pretty cool. That being said, this is very different from the Korvac Saga that we will be covering, so it'll be interesting comparing and contrasting.
It's notable. It's notable that both the comics and the cartoons. This is a Guardians of the Galaxy Avengers crossover.
Yeah.
Like, really.
I really like that they use this as a chance to do that.
Really different version of Star-Lord. Like, if I compare him like this, like, it's almost jarring because you're so used to, or I am, used to Chris Pratt. Yeah, and then, like, to watch this cartoon and it's like, Star-Lord's very serious.
It felt a little more like the one that I read in the original books, though. Which makes sense because it's Abnett and Lanning writing it.
I thought the animation on Groot was cool.
Very cool.
And I really liked, you said Rocket Raccoon has a British accent.
I can't peg it. It's like British or Australian.
He's got like a goofy accent, which oddly works.
Oh, I think it does too.
Yeah, like Rocket Raccoon being a space raccoon with an accent, and I thought his scenes were funny. Like he shows up and growls, and then pulls out two giant lasers. Honestly, and joins the fray.
Other than the accent, very familiar to the Bradley Cooper version from the MCU.
Oh yeah, it's similar.
If you change that accent, it's the same character.
Yeah,
I want to before we get into the plot, I need to make one more note. This was directed by Boyd Kirkland, who gets a dedication at the end because he passed away during the production of this season. Mm-hmm. We've mentioned Boyd Kirkland's name a lot. He's had a major.
He's worked on X-Men Evolution. He worked on Batman the Animated Series.
Superhero animation in general.
He worked on this show. He's just had a huge impact on all these 90s cartoons we love.
Very, very nice that he gets a dedication at the end. And I imagine this is likely the last time we'll mention his name in this show on Avengers. And I thought the direction of this episode was great. Troy Baker voices Michael Korvac. He also voices Groot. Moira Quirk voices Quasar. Kirk Thornton voices Warlock. Greg Ellis is Rocket. I want to mention who voices Star-Lord. Did you recognize the voice?
I did not.
Did you ever play Halo?
I did play Halo.
So Master Chief, Stephen Downs,
really? Wow,
is the voice of Star-Lord. Because I heard him speak, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound like Chris Pratt. And I was listening, I was like, oh, that does sound like somebody though, and it sounded like Master Chief. And I looked it up, and it is Master Chief.
Last thing I heard about Halo is one of my buddies, JP, went and did like a photo shoot for some of their branding.
Oh yeah.
And he was like showing me pictures of the Halo set and stuff. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
I'm not a gamer. My friends and I would all get together and play Halo Reach all the time.
We
would play that. We would do LAN parties.
I was gonna say we play Halo 2 a lot.
All right, so Korvac. It's hard to talk about this without talking about the comics. I'm gonna try to just keep it to the episode. Michael Korvac is the name of the main antagonist in this episode. Obviously, he crash lands and makes a crater in Central Park, and they find him glowing and talking to himself.
Yeah, he's just such a crazy person, which is
with like tattoos on his back, like markings on his back.
Way different from the comic, but it's a good way to sell this idea quickly.
Yeah, so they bring him to Avengers Mansion because they don't know where else to take him.
And he's also a Super Saiyan. He's like glowing yellow.
Right.
His hair stands up. Even some of the animation
there is a little
at
bit
the
of
end. I feel like there was a strong DBZ influence. He's like shooting energy blasts and stuff.
Which we've said on this show before. There has to be.
I think Chris Yost is a fan.
That has to be intentional.
Yeah, I think he's a fan of it.
So Jan calls Jane Foster, so she gets a cameo, and they basically like are trying to check in and see what's wrong with him.
She's still upset about Hank.
Yeah,
she's still crying about Hank, but she found a new man to take care of, and that's Korvac.
You said that before. Kovacs is Rorschach. Interesting. Michael mistakes Jan for Karina at first, who's also voiced by Jennifer Hale, who voices Ms. Marvel. I just think it's interesting that Karina is completely reimagined for this show as well. Karina is the love interest in the comic series that we'll read in the second half. One thing that stood out to me about all this before the Guardians show up is Hawkeye is skeptical that this dude was abducted by aliens. And I cannot for the life of me understand why he's so skeptical. He has literally fought aliens on this show.
He hangs out with the Hulk
multiple times. Ms. Marvel is a member of the team who was basically an alien experiment.
Yeah, like a Kree experiment, yeah.
It just struck me as odd that was what... Like, it's like the Mulder
that crossed the line
thing.
For him. Yeah. That was jumping the shark for Hawkeye.
It's kind of the weird thing for me. Like, and it's the same thing where like in the X-Files, Scully is always skeptical, even though she's found alien happenings all 5,000 episodes of that show.
Yeah, you have 8 seasons of running into aliens.
You still can't seem to accept that.
I don't know, real. Mulder shakes her finger like, I don't know about that.
So anyway, it's a nitpick, but I just think it's odd. It's strange.
Yeah.
But you're not kidding though. When the Guardians show up, it's interesting because they're presented at first as antagonists, and if you're a general audience member, you probably don't know who the Guardians are in 2012. You probably would expect them to be antagonists. But I want to talk a little bit about the difference between this lineup of the Guardians and the lineup in the movies. Because the big change is Drax and Gamora aren't in it. And you get Quasar and Adam Warlock. And Adam Warlock will be in the MCU eventually, but I just think it's interesting that...
He has the Soul Gem.
He has the Soul Gem, which I read... There was a 90s Adam Warlock comic, probably by Jim Starlin, and it was called The Warlock Chronicles, and it had a chrome cover.
I have that one.
And it gave...
I have a few of those.
It gave, the history of the Soul Gem and the history of Adam Warlock. Super good primer, honestly. It's the first time I ever saw... Marvel in a comic was them recapping, and the first time I saw Pip and Gamora and all those characters.
I had a few Captain Marvel comics, and like I said, I had some Miss Marvel stuff, but I just generally avoided Cosmic Marvel.
So what did you think of this episode?
I don't know why. It never resonated with me for some reason.
As an X-Men fan that you would have kind of avoided.
I think I was quicker to read about Star Wars. Or something.
If you were gonna read Cosmic,
or you know what I mean. I wouldn't go to Marvel for that.
That does make some sense.
Yeah,
because this is definitely Star Wars flavored.
I don't know, but what did I think of the episode? I don't know. I think like I said, the Korvac stuff was a little weak. Is a villain. I think as a villain, he doesn't have the motivations that he has.
Definitely more interesting in the. Comics.
Yeah, in the books, you lose a lot of that in a 30-minute episode. I thought the Guardians kind of stole the show.
Oh, I agree. 100%, easily.
I don't know where I would rank this. It's not one of my favorite episodes. It's not a bad episode. The sympathy card at the end didn't really work for me either. I didn't feel bad for... They try to kind of play it up, to make you feel bad for Korvac at the end.
Yeah, they
do. They don't reach the heights of Batman animated series or something where I'm watching Clayface in that control room,
that villain.
or I'm watching Mr. Freeze get his his helmet melted with that soup that Alfred gave Bruce. It just doesn't reach those heights.
Right. I don't know if anything's ever reached those heights, but
that's true.
But to your point, though, I don't think they sold it as well as they could have. I think.
Yeah, they didn't sell the ending as well.
And I think that's a function of maybe they had too much introduced in this episode.
I think that's a thing with this show in general. I think you lose something having so much going on. Yeah, there's so much going on that you can't zone in on the character moments. You can't let things linger because we got to jump to the next cameo.
Justice League does have that problem a little bit as well, which has a bigger cast.
Yeah, we got to jump to this thing and this thing and this thing and just. It never slows down.
Yeah. I think really Hank and Jan are kind of the only emotional through line that you have in this show.
I liked it though. I mean, overall, as a Marvel cartoon that I'm just watching, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Something like that. So a 7 out of 10.
We're sitting at 7 out of 10 with 20 episodes left. We have 20 episodes left. So, right now, a little more than halfway through the show, Carl's giving this a 7 out of 10. We'll gauge your progress as we go along. I thought the changes that I liked from the book to the show was that it was a little more we didn't waste time getting to the conflict. Which I liked.
You're right.
I like that part. The pacing on this I prefer to the pacing of the comic storyline. I do think you're right in that we sacrifice something with the streamlining. There's something to be said for streamlining that narrative because it is very convoluted. Korvac is very convoluted. But I like a little bit of convoluted in my comics because you get elements like the future Guardians of the Galaxy, time travel. Galactus plays a role in Korvac's story, which we'll talk about. And in here, it's just the Kree experimented on a dude who was abducted by aliens. So it's a little more simple.
You lose a little something.
It plays more into the story they've been telling. But, I mean, if you're going to try to sell me on Korvac, but then distract me with Rocket and Groot and Adam Warlock...
I thought you lost a little something, like not having the origin tied to Galactus, but I think for the show it makes sense.
Because it's like we haven't teased something though. They could have teased something.
We've seen the Fantastic Four, but like, do you really want Galactus's first introduction in a show to be like a little cameo, powering up another villain real quick? You know what I mean? Like, give Galactus that grand entrance that he deserves.
I think there's a way to do it where you could have him show up on a random spaceship and get mutated and not know whose ship it is, and have that be teased and rolled out.
Or what about the Surfer? Like, show the Surfer and, like, insinuate Galactus.
Just have any kind of... They mentioned cosmic radiation.
Ooh, what if it's, like, ultimate extinction and it's a bunch of little, like, robotic Galactus drones and they all fly...
What if it was a cloud? What if he floats in on a cloud? He's already a Super Saiyan.
Right.
That cloud could be Galactus.
Yeah, like a big Galactus cloud, and you don't see Galactus and we save him for another movie.
That doesn't happen.
No, okay.
Right. That'd be great.
Alright, anyway, back to the episode. Alright, so Wasp finds Karina.
Yeah. So...
Guardians show up.
The Guardians show up, and you're meant to think they're antagonists. They speak a different language, and then they find out that they actually are mostly human, and find out the truth behind Korvac.
It's the thing that happens in every Avengers cartoon when they meet a new set of heroes or a new hero. They fight.
Right.
Every time.
They do. And
they brawl. Every time.
like you're saying this like the X-Men don't do this.
Even in the comics, though. Like, even in the comics, like...
There's always fighting.
It's like, we have this new character. Better brawl. Better. Vision's talking to Quicksilver. Better fight.
I can't wait to talk about this.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to go back to the lineup. So it's interesting to me that they chose Warlock and Quasar over Gamora and Drax, who I guess are more violent in nature, but also maybe are less visually interesting in terms of power sets.
I think if you're trying to adapt the comics, like, Adam Warlock's a great choice.
Oh, I love it. I think, frankly, it's bizarre to me that Warlock, it took 3 movies to get to Adam Warlock. I think that's bizarre.
And they only
because he's such a major character.
Wait, doesn't he have a pretty significant role in 3?
In 3.
I'm misremembering that.
Maybe, yeah, he's one of the secondary antagonists.
There you go.
Quasar I want to talk about, because we've talked about a Quasar on this show before when we read Acts of Vengeance, but this is a different Quasar. This is actually Mar-Vell's daughter in the comics, but she is completely divorced from that lineage in this show. She's pretty much a special effect on this show. She's just a character for them to fight. But yeah, Janice Vell is Captain Marvel in the mid-2000s when I started reading. And then when he stops, his sister takes over very briefly as Captain Marvel. And then she goes off and joins the Guardians of the Galaxy as the new Quasar. Ends up in a relationship with Moondragon. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
But cool that she's adapted here.
Yeah.
Interesting, though, that she has ties to the Kree Empire, and it gets no mention here. And
I thought she was cool. Yeah. Like, she has, she's different enough from the other characters. I'm glad they included a female character, and she has the cloak and stuff. And
a very cool visual.
Kind of mysterious. Yeah. She fits well within this team.
Yeah. As a Captain Marvel fan, I'm very tickled that she's there. It is so funny that she's in the episode with Ms. Marvel, and there's no crossover at all. She's really...
Yeah, that is crazy.
It's like a completely different character. But again, this is what you talk about, where there's no room in an ensemble cartoon that's 23 minutes long.
Do you want to see them fight, or do you want to see them talk about their interconnected origins?
Exactly right.
And that way it is like X-Men.
If this was a backdoor pilot to a Guardians of the Galaxy cartoon, then maybe you could play with that lore a little more.
If only Claremont were here to have the characters play
basketball.
Play basketball for an entire episode or 2.
You know what? I would be down with that.
I would be too. If it was just a baseball game.
If they had a baseball game against the X-Men, sign me up. I would watch that.
Yeah.
And have Beast be the referee.
That's a great idea for an episode, actually.
I said referee. I'm totally not a
And then Colossus hits the baseball and no one can find it and the game's over.
that'd be sad, but probably how it would happen. I think Hulk would probably get mad.
Actually, Angel could catch it.
Sure. Nightcrawler would probably catch it. We should write this. All right.
Anyway.
So anyway, the Guardians reveal that he was abducted by the Kree. They fight, and at the end, Michael fights mostly Ms. Marvel because for a while the other heroes are in
he's so overpowered. She's the only one that can fight him, really.
Yeah, and the resolution to this conflict is that Karina says, "You're not who I fell in love with. I don't want to be with you. You've lost your mind."
I thought she was gonna, KO him.
Yeah.
Or something.
Punch him.
Yeah, I thought she was gonna surge in. Like there was gonna be a twist. I was waiting for that twist with her.
Right, because that's what happens in the book.
Yeah, I was waiting, and it never came. It's just
totally reinvented.
It's just disappointed girlfriend, and he's like, "Oh, suicide bomb," and then he blows up DBZ style. He shoots his energy everywhere.
Yeah.
And this
vanishes.
Huge 4th of July fireworks show, and then he's gone.
Yeah.
And then they show him reappear in
floating
space,
in space,
which I hated. Because
I
was I'm like, if you're gonna, you have one episode with this character,
well, I think maybe
why just leave him in space?
I suspect it was a seed they were hoping to plant for a further.
Oh sure.
Episode.
Of course.
Season.
I would have preferred death though, and then reveal that later.
I think that would. Yeah,
season 3 of Earth's Mightiest Heroes. He's in space.
Yeah.
And that's the cold open.
And then meets Galactus.
Right. That would be cool.
Or we'll talk. You know what? I want to save the point I was about to make for when we talk about the comics.
We need to do an episode where we just pitch Marvel Universe stories. We're just this is my Marvel.
We have a format. We have a pitch meeting format we've talked about doing. We've only done one, and I do think we should do one.
Yeah, we should. Just do pitches.
We shouldn't produce this show on air, on the record. That's right.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
I'm going to have to edit this out.
There's not a whole lot more to say on my end other than I liked it. As a fan of Cosmic Marvel, I do rank it pretty high relative to you. I don't think it's in my top 5.
Okay.
But I do love the Guardians being there. I love that Jane Foster showed up.
Yeah.
And I love Ms. Marvel getting to show off her power set a little more. And I think that there were some elements that were an improvement on the comic for me. In terms of the pacing.
I was impressed that they were able to streamline all the arcs in the comic into an episode. I was impressed by that. And there's multiple moments in this episode where I just read the comic before I watched this. And so I was oh, this bit's from the comic. Where he blows up the space station.
Yes.
That's straight out of the book.
Yeah.
And they're intersped in this retelling of it, and reimagining or whatever you want to say.
I think you make a really good point, though, that this was an opportunity.
I do.
Yeah. It finally happened.
I did.
I think this was an excellent opportunity to do a BTAS level elevation of a villain character.
Yeah, they always have those emotional beats, though.
Yeah, and I think that it was missing a little bit, and I don't know if that's a writing issue, a pacing issue, or a I don't think it's a performance issue because Troy Baker did great. I think maybe there's just a little more heart that you could have given, and maybe it's because you had to spend time introducing 5 very interesting secondary characters to the Guardians.
It's because Korvac's girlfriend's underdeveloped.
That relationship was underdeveloped. It's a little tropey.
If that was explained more, if their relationship was given some context, given some growth, that ending would have hit a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'll even dumping him or whatever.
I'll layer on top of that, and that Korvac's motivation in the books is a little more developed than it is here.
Oh, for sure.
What was his motivation in here? To blow things up?
I'm not sure. He blew up some stuff in space. The Guardians are after him.
They're very worried about him.
Yeah.
What's he trying to do other than get back with his girlfriend? I mean...
Like I said, he was the weaker element for me. Guardians stole the show.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think
Guardians.
the takeaway from this is I want more Guardians. Guardians.
Yeah, I want more Guardians Avengers teams
and
up.
After you see them in animation, doesn't it make sense that they got a movie? I think like the concept is so strong that it makes sense to me.
I was surprised by it when it was initially announced. What was this, 2013?
13 or 14, yeah.
Yeah, like the Guardians, I was like, wow, that's so out of left field. But I think that's what made it so fun. Yeah. It wasn't the choice we thought Marvel was going to do. And James Gunn knocked it out of the park. I mean, that soundtrack is everywhere.
Oh, people still talk about that soundtrack all the time.
People still play those songs. Like, if you go to the bar or something, like, people still playing those songs on the playlist. Like, it affected a generation of people. Mm-hmm. Like, those the Cool and Awesome Mix Volume 1. I hope I said that right.
Some people credit the Guardians for changing the whole trajectory of Marvel Studios.
Yeah, but,
for you know, I don't agree. But I think it was definitely a standout of Phase 2, for sure.
Just to put this on the record, I listened to the Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders of Mars way before that movie came out. Okay, just to have that on record.
What a hipster.
Just as the ultimate hipster here. Yeah. And yeah, I have it on vinyl.
You mean to tell me you're such a hipster? Yeah. Do I have that one on vinyl? I think I might have that one on vinyl.
It's one of the best rock records.
Yeah, is that really the one where he's sitting on the stoop?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have that one.
Yeah, there's a sign that says K West on it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Come back after the break when we're talking about comics.
Yeah.
Comics.
Back to Issues with Cartoons. We are now in our comic book section, and we'll be taking a look at Avengers 167, 168, and then we're going to jump ahead a little bit to the 170s.
Yep, 170 through 177, and this comprises the Korvac Saga, which is the loose source for the episode we just watched. Korvac, as a character, actually debuted before these sets of issues, which I hadn't realized. I thought he debuted in the Korvac Saga, but he actually was a character who was featured in, I think, Marvel Premiere or Marvel Superheroes. I can't remember which anthology book. But he ended up being a Guardians of the Galaxy villain in whatever book the Guardians of the Galaxy were in. And so it makes sense then that with issue 167, right there on the cover, behold the Guardians of the Galaxy. And this is that 1969 team with Vance Astro and Yondu and the like.
And they're from the future.
They are from the future. Vance Astro, if you are unfamiliar, I'll just tell you.
I have no idea.
I think Vance Astro was introduced in Guardians. The conceit is he's an astronaut from the near future who is suspended in animation and appears in the 31st century, and it's kind of the Guardians of the Galaxy Captain America, where he's like the man out of time.
He's hibernated.
Yeah, he even at one point has Captain America's shield. He went by the name Major Victory at some point. But why I bring up Vance Astro is he eventually, in the present day, the boy grows up to become Marvel Boy and joins the New Warriors, changes his name to Justice, and dates Firestar and becomes an Avenger during the Busick run. Oh. And we've actually read Vance Astrovic in the Kang Dynasty book that we covered.
I'm glad you're here, Kyle. Some of this Avengers lore, I have no idea.
And I have no idea
what some of this stuff is.
There's a lot of lore in this Korvac Saga. So you don't need to know all that. I tell you that because I appreciated that we get some Vance Astro in this storyline, and he ends up being one of my favorite Avengers in the Busick run.
Yeah, so. Just jumping into this with like little knowledge I have, I was confused by the Guardians. I wanted to
ask you about this.
I was confused about the Guardians lineup. Yes. The Avengers stuff I was fine with. And Beast is on the team too, which is fun.
And we've read some issues from this era, like when we did what was the with Dr. Doom, the Private War Dr. Doom.
Yes.
That was the Jim Shooter 70s Avengers run with a lot of this lineup. Actually, I think almost exactly the same.
I really liked all that stuff, too.
Yeah. And actually, Avengers 200, the infamous Ms. Marvel baby pregnancy issue. So that will come about 2 years after this. So that had a similar lineup with the same writers.
A lot of this show is me filling out my Avengers lore. And filling out like the opposite side of the Marvel Universe that I didn't really read as much.
And to be fair, I am familiar with this academically. Like, I'm familiar with the Korvac Saga as a storyline.
From your DK book.
From my DK book, and from just, like, reading Avengers books and, like, learning, like, they keep talking about the Korvac Saga.
Let's be honest, Kyle. We both get on Wikipedia and read about superheroes. We both do. Let's be real.
My wife makes fun of me, Carl, because I have the Wikipedia app on my phone, and she says no one else has the Wikipedia app on their phone, but I'm telling you, I use it every day. Every day. It's like right next to IMDb. I use IMDb and Wikipedia pretty much every day.
The research on I do that sometimes. Research. I go on deep dive. On deep dives.
I get a lot of my information from that. Anyway, I was interested though, Carl, because I think Jim Shooter comics, often when he writes them, have a lot of unnecessary, overcomplicated continuity and lore. That he feels the need to include everything.
He does. He has to put his footnote in.
Yes.
He's gotta, he's gotta make sure all the characters are in the same places at the same time. And I think it makes for boring storytelling, but I think some fans really appreciate it though. And if there's one thing comics fans love, it's continuity and making sense out of nonsensical continuity.
Yes.
Or else we wouldn't have things like no prizes, right?
Well, right. And I think with continuity, one thing that I really did enjoy about the Korvac Saga was you do get a ton of guest stars and cameos and a ton of rounding out of the Marvel Universe because they're trying to build up Korvac as this
big threat.
Universe level threat.
Yeah, like he is
They're really selling you on it.
It is Star Trek 5 here. We are fighting a god.
Yes.
This is Avengers fighting God, and it's they really build it up. With Eternity too. Yeah. They have Eternity show up from Doctor Strange.
Eternity. And Odin shows up. The Watcher is here.
Yes.
Mephisto gets a mention.
Yeah.
Zeus gets a mention.
Galactus.
Galactus is here.
It's every big bad in the Marvel Universe.
Korvac is supposed to scare all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I want to talk about this.
Does it work?
I want to talk about that. I think so. In its own way. I think the problem it has is that
he's not threatening. His costume is not threatening.
By the time he does anything that shows he's a threat, he's gone.
You're right. Like the fight, you're right. After the huge build-up, it's one issue.
Criticism.
Yeah, it's one issue and it's done.
And I think that's why the pacing of the cartoon works so much better for me. I think if we had had a little more showing of why he's so formidable. You get that one fight with Starhawk, I think in issue 168. But really, other than that fight with Starhawk, there's no reason for me to think he is going to be this existential threat until issue 177, the very bloody end.
Yeah. That's really.
And then he's so clearly a threat. Like spoiler alert, he kills everybody in that issue. And so you're like, oh damn, he is a threat. And then he's dead at the end. So like, I think it works as like a build-up if you're not going to show him do anything. But then you're telling me and not showing me that he's a threat.
He should have destroyed a world.
Yeah.
Or something. Like he should have
he blew up that space station, but like so what?
Maybe he flies.
He should have Dark Phoenix something.
Or
he should have Dark Phoenix something. He should have blown up a sun.
And he blots out the sky, and they have to fight him at night. Anything really. Like anything would have helped sell that idea that he's a big threat.
Like you think about the Infinity Gauntlet, because they compare him to Thanos at one point in here.
It's ridiculous how many. Like I said, it's the most powerful villains of the Marvel Universe, and they're like, hey. this guy's just as strong as them. And
well,
it's like, I don't know about that.
Think about Galactus' introduction, which took 3 issues, by the way, and not 7 or 10.
And they didn't even beat Galactus. They were just like, Galactus, please go off world,
well, like,
please.
How much more effective was that?
This ultimate nullifier.
Or like Thanos, if you think about the Infinity Gauntlet, how much more effective that was at telling you he was an existential threat. I think there were...
it's a great MacGuffin. The Infinity Gauntlet is like an awesome MacGuffin.
Yeah, and you don't have that here. You just have a guy with the power of the cosmic.
And he has cosmic mind battles with his Stockholm Syndrome girlfriend.
Yeah, which is a whole conversation we can get into. Because I want to transition this a little bit to talk about Jim Shooter again.
Really? You want to talk about Jim Shooter more? I could do this whole thing without mentioning him again.
Here's why I need to talk about him.
Okay, why do you need to talk about him?
All the times we've talked about Jim Shooter, there's some tropes that come up, and they're all here. And I'm going to name some for you.
Okay, because some Jim Shooter-isms?
Some Jim Shooter-isms, because this is the man who wrote the Marcus Immortus kerfuffle with Ms. Marvel, right?
Sure.
So we have non-compliant women traveling with superhuman-powered men.
Yes.
Which happens here. We have when he meets Karina and like corrals her to travel to his home with her. We have the overly complicated plot with the overly complicated continuity, which is something we already talked about.
Yeah.
Jim Shooter also wrote Secret War, which features an overpowered, ambivalent god character.
You mean the Beyonder?
Yeah.
Yeah, Secret Wars?
Yeah. Who ends up being, like, kind of
disco, but also kind of threatening.
Well, what I was going to say was by the end, he's like, Jim Shooter almost sort of sympathizes with him. He's like, well, wanting to be all-powerful to do good is actually okay. And, like, wanting to control everything, but having good intentions is actually okay. Jim Shooter, famous for his overbearing hand as an editor-in-chief, I just think there's like a power trip thing that he's trying to work out in these characters.
Maybe.
And I think the proto version of the Beyonder is Michael Korvac, my thesis.
I think for a crossover based on action figures and a toy line, Secret Wars came out great.
And
like A+ Marvel book.
We'll tip our hand here. Whenever the Secret Wars film comes out, we will cover every issue of every Secret Wars comic that's ever come out.
Whoa.
That's my ambition.
And Hickman's?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to read that again.
That is literally what the movie is going to be based on.
I know with the different versions of Battle World.
We're producing on there again.
Yeah.
We're producing on there again. But
lots of Wolverines.
My whole point is Jim Shooter seems to really like these god men.
He does.
That end up taking control of women. And
that's why I mentioned Stockholm Syndrome either, because it's like this girl doesn't even want to be with them. And multiple times throughout the story, this is Korvac and
Karina.
And Karina, she's like, oh, I should leave him. There's multiple panels of this where she has thoughts like, or I should leave him. Oh, but he's so strong and powerful. I still enjoy him.
Even more than that, Carl, she's revealed to be the Collector's daughter.
Yeah, she's sent by the Collector.
Right?
So she literally is a hostage. She's a hostage to the situation.
She's literally created to be his love interest. Like, literally, explicitly, as if every other female character that Jim Shooter writes.
I gotta set the stage a little bit for our listeners. So there are 3 antagonists in this Korvac saga.
Yeah.
Okay. Your first one is Korvac's introduced in the first 2 issues.
He's like the big bad.
Then we get some Ultron.
Which
then
I enjoy.
We get the introduction of the Collector. Yeah. Which I also really liked, and I thought that was interesting because I never really had read much of the Collector. And
played by Benicio del Toro in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, awesome actor. And then the third act, we get the conclusion, we get the Korvac. So this does feel like a saga where we're hopping around the different Avengers, locales and villains. We're like going to outer space and we're fighting things on Earth, right. And it's I just want to explain that.
It's sprawling.
I just want to explain that like this whole arc or saga isn't just fighting Korvac. There's other characters at play.
And by the end, and the Collector is actually a really good device for this. By the end of this saga, you have almost, not quite, but almost every past member of the Avengers is in this story by the end.
You're right.
Hercules
no,
and
it's
Black Widow
great.
show up.
It's a good
Hawkeye,
showcase.
Hawkeye brings the two-gun kid back with him.
Yeah, he does have a little bit part,
and I love the two-gun kid. I'm sad he didn't stick around.
I started laughing when they were like, two-gun kid, what do you think? I was just like, oh, he's here. Yeah, like, he's here.
But a great George Perez storyline.
Yeah, the arts.
That has references in Avengers Forever also. Which is probably the only reason I like Two-Gun Kid. But you get, who else? You get Marvel and Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, I was about to say Ms. Marvel's in it.
You get, I said Hercules and Black Widow.
Quicksilver, Vision.
And Vision.
Scarlet Witch has a really big role.
She does. I love the Scarlet Witch.
The Wasp in Yellow Jacket.
Wasp in Yellow Jacket.
Yeah,
Jocasta ends up being a member, so she gets kind of turned in this storyline.
I noticed that Jocasta's like a good girl.
Yeah, she goes from antagonist to protagonist in this storyline.
And Jocasta is the bride of Ultron.
Yeah.
Ultron created his wife.
Yeah, and the name Jocasta is from Greek theater. It's from the Oedipus plays.
A lot of biblical stuff going on in this book too. Michael.
Right. Well, yeah.
With that,
which means like unto God, which of course is a very on the nose play on the fact that he is trying to become God.
I like that part of it because I feel like it elevated the comic a little bit, and they had like that caption box, and it had like the biblical typography or like the old italics.
Yeah.
Kind of, they went to like this old italics font for a little bit, and it sold me on that idea. Like I was like, oh, okay, Michael, like kind of a cheap Bible tie-in. But, you know...
Very on the nose.
Yeah, it was very on the nose, but I thought it
sold the idea.
It was interesting.
Shorthand.
It added more depth to this, and like I said, this saga has more depth to Michael than the cartoon does.
I agree.
Because we get so much more backstory.
So much more time.
Anyway.
And again, the motivation is much more clear. Like, he wants to control everything. He feels like he needs to rule and control everything. And you kind of think that the whole purpose of the plot, because that's what these first two issues, 167, 168, set up this idea that the whole purpose of Korvac coming back in time is to kill Vance Astrovic as a boy so that the Guardians don't form and he can rule the 31st century. But what it ends up being is he just wants to take over the 20th century.
It would have almost been more interesting if they had written him like a Dr. Manhattan, where he goes to create life somewhere.
Right.
Or if he goes and creates a battlefield.
Like really
they fight on
that guy. Like Battle World.
Yeah, like Battle World. Back to that again.
I really do think this is the proto version of Beyond.
It would have been so interesting, if Michael was just like, he's like, well, I'm a god now and I'm above all this quarreling and fighting with the Avengers and being an abusive person, and now I'm going to go off into the stars.
Which is what Beyonder ends up doing. I really think you're onto something.
Or like the Star Child in 2001 or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I just keep making these references, but I feel like...
I think they're all things Jim Shooter was thinking about, though.
I think you're right, though. We could have done more with his character because he is a god. Because he is this all-powerful thing.
And I think your axiom of show don't tell wasn't utilized here. And I think
we lose it.
You asked me, wasn't an effective way to show he's a threat to have all these other characters worry about him. And I think it works, but only because they didn't do the more effective thing, which was show his awesomeness and show his power. I think get a lot of characters wringing their hands about it. Even the Avengers are kind of just nervous about his power set because the Guardians told them to be nervous about it. But he hasn't shown them any other reason other than blowing up that space station.
Jim Shooter loves to tell stories about continuity, and this is it's like that. It's just like it's like we gotta like just reference Mephisto. We gotta reference and I feel like as a Marvel fan in the 70s, maybe you had read some of the stuff in the 60s, and you're like sitting there reading this comic for the first time, and you're like, whoa, Mephisto,
right?
Whoa, Galactus, whoa, you know what I mean? Like,
right. Oh, Doctor Strange is worried.
Yeah,
I should be worried.
Yeah,
Spider-Man's spider sense is going off for no reason. Oh, I should be worried.
Something's wrong.
Like, very cool that they're there. Loved seeing all of them. Don't get me wrong. Give me more. I mean, it really is like a proto version of Secret War and a proto version of the Infinity Gauntlet. Like, those stories just do this better,
and
I think.
The other thing I was thinking about while I was reading this, besides Thor not wearing his helmet and looking very much like the MCU version throughout this book, is that this is a great Avengers Guardians of the Galaxy team up.
Great team up.
And it reminded me of like Infinity War. I was like,
Sure.
wow, this is where it started. This is where the Avengers met Guardians for the first time in the comics. And
very similarly, like to fight a god level character. Like,
yeah,
I think that's a apt comparison. And I love this line. This is the classic 70s Avengers lineup. Like, this is kind of like the default Avengers lineup for a lot of people. And I wanted to talk about two things. You mentioned Beast. I love Beast on the Avengers.
I do too. I think
he's
works really well.
so much more fun on the Avengers.
What about the? I can't think of the. Never mind.
That's okay.
Yeah.
The second thing I want to talk about, you can bring it up if you think of it. The second thing I want to talk about is Wonder Man.
God.
Because this is
Wonder Man's in it a lot.
He's in it a lot. And he's got some hang-ups on himself because he's like, I'm the strongest person here, but I'm such a coward. And he's like got a whole lot of like emotional baggage.
Doesn't he have like a scene where he flirts with
Miss Marvel
a little bit? And I wasn't aware they had a romance.
So I don't think they do much. I will say in the mid-2000s when Carol has her own Ms. Marvel book, they do have a relationship. It's like after Wonder Man breaks up with Scarlet Witch during Kang Dynasty, he and Carol kind of start a thing later.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I thought that was something I didn't know about the characters.
Yeah.
I didn't know a lot of that stuff.
She's too good for him. She's too good for him, I'll say. But that's okay.
Vision and Wanda are firmly together in this.
Oh, it's great. I love it.
And,
I love it. And I want to talk about this because this is one of your favorite scenes that you brought up.
Oh, yeah. I actually texted you when I read it.
Yeah.
I
don't remember what issue it is. And
we're
we're jumping all over the place like I knew we would and we should for a story this long. But there's a scene where...
It's hard to keep it all linear.
Yeah, but there's a scene where Quicksilver and Vision interact. Do you want to talk about what that interaction entails? Vision
just hates
Quicksilver hates the Vision.
Yeah, and Quicksilver hates Vision, and Quicksilver's just like, he's like, you're like a digital calculator, or you're like a digital watch. You're just a digital watch, and you're not good enough for my sister. And he just like screams at him, and I was like, wow, I didn't even know Quicksilver had so much hatred for Vision. And I thought that was an interesting dynamic. And then Quicksilver, he runs away.
Of course, like he always does. Yeah, this is the first time... well, no, it's not. It's not the first time we've read Crystal and Quicksilver as a married couple, but like you meet Quicksilver in Atalan in this story. Like he's in Atalan when he shows up. What do you think of Crystal with Quicksilver as somebody who has been reading classic Fantastic Four stories?
Man, Crystal, why couldn't you keep your eye on the ball? You had to do Johnny like that.
Totally whiffed it. Like she downgraded.
I am almost there in my Fantastic Four read through.
Oh, where they break up?
I'm on the cusp of it. I read ahead because I wanted to understand, or I read on Wiki, as we just talked about earlier. I researched. I was like, why isn't Crystal with Johnny? Because it's like you read those Fantastic Four comics, and it's like they set up that relationship for like a really long time. Like it's like a lot of the back half of Jack Kirby's run is like Crystal is with Johnny.
She's a member of the team.
And Johnny's trying to find Crystal. There's that whole arc with where he's like trying to get to the Inhumans through the negative zone.
Right.
When we didn't establish
through the Galactus Saga and everything like that.
Yeah, we didn't establish what the negative zone was yet, so all kinds of crazy stuff happened. It blocked the Inhumans, and Triton could swim through it. What is it exactly? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
it's very different from the place that Annihilus hangs out.
It's crazy to me that she ends up with Quicksilver. Like a little bit.
Again,
I think it's wild.
I'm just gonna say, to me, you can't get further from Johnny than Quicksilver, which maybe was the reason, but they're not alike at all.
No,
I don't think.
No, and Quicksilver.
I'll be interested to follow that trajectory.
Quicksilver's such a jerk.
Such
too.
a jerk.
Like he is such a jerk.
Imagine calling your brother-in-law a digital watch. Like that's just so rude. But yeah, is this the scene? Yeah. So,
yeah, there it is.
It's in issue 170. Which one? 176, I think.
Insinuates he's dumb too, right?
175. So it's the it's the kind of like the third act. But in 175, Vision is talking. Moondragon is talking about finding Wanda because Wanda's gone missing, and Quicksilver's mad, and Vision tells him to like trust Moondragon, and he says, "Why are you defending her? Because marrying my sister didn't make you any more human than a digital watch. Like basically, like you don't count because you're a robot.
Because you're a machine. Yeah, like you're not a person. Vision, shut up. We don't need you in Avengers business. We don't need you giving orders. Yeah,
and like I don't know."
I did really like the scene where the Avengers figured out the signal of where Korvac was, and so like they're all on their way.
Yes.
And then Scarlet Witch gets zapped out of the team rather quickly, and she gets transported to another dimension. She's in this glass dimension.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. It reminded me of WandaVision a little bit. I was like, Scarlet Witch is like in another dimension.
And it makes sense to take her off the table, too.
Yeah. Or was it Ultron?
I think it Ultron.
Was Ultron. Yeah, I'm sorry. I misspoke.
No, there's a lot of characters.
Yeah, Ultron takes Wanda off the board, but then Wanda gets her revenge on Ultron at the end. She uses her hex powers on him.
But like, basically, look at this panel with all these characters. Like, you have Black Panther in there.
It's great. It's fun. Why not?
Starhawk and Yellow Jacket and Wasp, and like you really do get like almost the only ones I can see aren't there are like Black Knight, Hellcat.
You know what's crazy though is there isn't many big Captain America moments in this comic.
Actually,
there's just like a few scenes with Cap, but
this was actually a complaint I have for this story.
Really,
they kind of forced this conflict where Iron Man and Cap don't get along because Cap doesn't think Iron Man is taking the job as chairman.
You're right.
Seriously.
There is a lot of conflict there.
And then Scarlet Witch kind of snaps back at Cap saying, "Well, you haven't really been pulling your weight either," and that makes him kind of go off and pout. And it just did not feel authentic to me.
Oh, it didn't feel like what Cap would do. I agree with that.
So
he's way too much of a wuss.
Yeah, it's just
he would have taken command. Yeah, you're right.
Like getting your feelings hurt. Like, and it seemed like a fabricated conflict anyway.
Yeah, I feel like Wanda and Hank were running the team.
Oh yeah,
really?
I thought so too.
Yeah.
So overall, I'll say that things really started picking up for me with 166 and 167 when they actually go and confront Korvac.
It is a big fight scene.
Yeah, it's a big fight scene, and like it's like showing like what the whole point was.
So what transforms Korvac into a god is he hacks into Galactus' spaceship.
Yes.
And it has like an odd reaction, and it gives him all the data that Galactus has been collecting throughout the galaxy, and he gets funneled into Michael. And then it transforms him from being like this cyborg character into like this, the spiritual being.
Yeah, this Beyonder.
Yeah, basically Beyonder. Yeah.
Well, and
he might as well be.
Yeah, I'm glad you're bringing this back up because the big change from the cartoon is it wasn't the Kree that experimented on Michael, it was the Badoon, and it wasn't in the present day, it was in the 31st century. And then when he time travels back, he lands on Galactus' ship, and that's what transforms him into this like.
That's right. There's this conflict with the Guardians.
Because before being this random plain-looking white blonde dude, he was like this cyborg character with like this desk for legs, and he looked a lot more like a sci-fi character.
Yeah.
In this Guardians of the Galaxy version, and then when he travels back, he becomes this like Beyonder-looking character. Really cool.
Where would you rank this in your like Avengers arcs? Is this up there for you, or is this? Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say. I think I appreciate it for what it is. I think the sequence where he literally murders all the Avengers, and that last splash page.
Shocking.
It was. I get why it's memorable. Karina is so nerfed in the cartoon. Like, she is so much more interesting.
She's a huge character in this.
Yeah, like she kills him at the end. Like, she's
the collector's daughter.
Yeah, she's the resolution at the end. But like this last spread where all the Avengers are like half dead, and Moondragon has to explain, again, telling not showing, explaining in the dialogue that Korvac's last act was to bring them all back to life. Again, making that like benevolent god trope that Shooter uses.
Yeah. It's very Old Testament.
I think it's very... Yeah, it is. I think it's very powerful. Like, it's a very... Like, I get why people think it's a big deal. I think Infinity Gauntlet does this story better. I think Secret Wars does this story better. I think even, like, the God Doom arc in the later Secret Wars does it better. I think better versions of this story exist, and...
This is like a proto version.
I think in terms of Avengers stories... I think I'm more interested in things like Kree Skrull War, Kang Dynasty, Avengers Forever, Under Siege. I think those hit me where I live better. But I do love the sprawling cast of this.
I think the first two antagonists that I mentioned, Ultron and the Collector, are more interesting than Michael.
I think that's a great criticism.
Yeah, so it's like, when I was reading it, I'm like, man, Ultron's showing it. I'm like, Jocasta's in this. All right, cool, I get more of that lore. Because we read the Ultron Imperium, and I was just excited to read more of that. So, like, I was, like, really invested in the Ultron parts. And the Collector fight, I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Because it's like the Avengers break in, and they're in space and shit. And the Collector has all these weapons that can be used against the Avengers. Yeah, he has like different artifacts from all over the galaxy. And
what a cool gimmick!
And he's using those outlandish weapons to defeat each Avenger. And then lo and behold, guess who beats the Collector out of all the Avengers? Unexpected, Hawkeye. Out of all of them, like Thor gets taken out, like, you know what I mean, and it's just
he's
like
Hawkeye's
stepping up. So. Yeah, the big part of the second act is them, trying to figure out. Some of the Avengers have been disappearing, and you don't find out why. They've just been disappearing, and it's causing more fragmentation.
I assumed it was Michael, so I was like, okay, so like this is where he's showing his power. Is like he's zapping them away, and then it wasn't even Michael; it was the Collector.
Yeah, the Collector's zapping all the superheroes away.
He's the one causing the problems. Is the Collector?
He is the ultimate Silver Age comic book fan. He just wants a bunch of superheroes in little like glass cases that he can just stare at forever.
First appeared in issue 28 by Stanley and Don Heck.
Is this the first Collector? I'm pretty sure it is. They talk about it like he is.
The first appearance of the Collector is Avengers 28.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this is 170. He appears here in 174, 175.
But, yeah, that's my big criticism is that, the first two acts I feel like are stronger than the ending. The ending doesn't quite hit it. And the cartoon's kind of the same way.
Yeah, there are other characters more interesting.
I will say... It's not that the ending doesn't have interesting stuff in it. So.
No, I really do think like where he's showing off how dangerous he is really compelling.
He is dangerous.
It's just so interesting that a character just like this appears in the Jim Shooter written Secret Wars and in the George Perez drawn Infinity Gauntlet, and they're done, I think, better there. We didn't really talk much about the art. George Perez launches this saga with the first few issues. Then it moves to Sal Buscema. And then it moves to... who does the climax? He does like the last handful of issues. It's Dave Wenzel, who I have never heard of. But does like a good job. Like I like it.
Yeah, I
was sad to see George Perez go. Because I mean...
I've said this before. I think I said this when we covered Kang Dynasty. Was like I wish the whole thing was Perez.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah,
but I wish the whole thing was Perez. But it's not to say that it isn't beautifully drawn in that Marvel House style that we all enjoy.
It's just not George Perez.
Yeah, if you're into this, I did find that some of the panel layouts were kind of like clunky.
Interesting.
At the beginning, they didn't follow that Z pattern. There was a lot of like
Him
90s like panels where I didn't know which one to read first because they were like stacked next to each other and it didn't like roll down the page well.
He would have been pretty young when he drew this.
Yeah, so
he was just a kid.
There was some wackiness there, but I think overall, yeah, there is not like the art's not bad. There wasn't like a part where I'm like, oh, this render terrible, you know what I mean?
So in your limited, admittedly, experience with Avengers lore and storylines, how do you find, like, where does this sit in your, if you gave it a percentile, like where in the ranking would you about put it?
This is something, I don't think I'll give it a ranking, but I think I'll say that this is something that I don't feel like if you're just trying to like read, you're a first time reader,
you're
trying to get into Avengers, I would recommend a lot of other stuff over this.
I would not call it essential.
This is the B side.
Yeah.
This is like if you want to know a little bit more about the lore, you want to know a little bit more about the relationships and the characters, certainly dive into this because you'll get more of that.
I got through about 25 years of Avengers comics without having to read this. Like, you'll be fine.
There you
if
go.
Read other stuff.
There's a big swipe.
I actually want to end on a different note. We have historically been scathingly critical of Wonder Man and particularly his wardrobe.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the red safari jacket look?
Fine with it.
Yeah, I'd say it's the least offensive costume.
Yeah, I'll take it. Least offensive so far. It's better than like the green with the big red W.
Yeah, with the giant goggles.
Too much. Too much.
Like
Marvel.
Not quite a head fin.
Marvel, you're doing too much.
You're doing too much. Well, unfortunately, it's one of Jack Kirby's very few design misses that he had in conceiving the character, and I don't think anyone since then has quite nailed it.
I did see that the Wonder Man trailer just dropped.
Oh yeah, at the time of this recording, the Wonder Man trailer dropped. Most interested I've been in that series this whole time is them dropping that trailer. I did find out though that the promo material for the movie within the show that they're remaking, right? The one from the 80s that they're like the plot of the episode.
Meta.
The posters that they created for that fake movie were AI generated. So
they looked AI to me.
Yeah,
I looked at them.
So I'm less interested.
Why don't you?
Literally, anyone could have done a faux 80s cover. To do the same month that Drew Struzan died, by the way.
That's crazy.
And you're doing an 80s mock-up cover with AI.
Get any of the Marvel interns to draw that. Get anybody that's involved in the company to draw that.
Incredible artists does Marvel have, and you're using AI.
Yeah,
kills me.
Yeah, they should make that little project. I mean, remember in Spider-Man 1 when they had like all those drawings? Those were done by actual comic book artists. Yeah. And remember the
Alex
credits?
Ross
I was about to say that. Spider-Man 2, they had like the recap sequence. That was all Alex Ross. You know, like, we're comic fans. We're here for the comic book movie. Appease us with comic book art in the comic book movie. We like it. It's meta. And it's cooler than AI.
It's so much, it looks better too.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
My God.
Yeah,
anyway,
it kills me.
That being said, I do love Yahya. I can't remember his full name. But Dr. Manhattan from the Watchmen cartoon, or from the Watchmen TV show, and Black Manta and Aquaman. He's playing Simon Williams.
I didn't make that connection.
Like him a lot. I really like him a lot.
God, that Watchmen show. We need to do an episode on that Watchmen show.
We'll probably cover Watchmen on this show. I mean, there is an animated series and there's a TV show. So all of those.
Yeah, I was talking about the HBO one. The HBO one was phenomenal.
It was
really good.
Yahya Abdul Mateen II. I knew it was Mateen, but I wasn't trusting myself. Anyway, I like him a lot. I love the premise. I love that we're getting some like old throwbacky.
I like that retro
stuff with the terrible
kind of
looking green suit,
like old Hollywood kind of vibes.
Yeah, like old Star Trek kind of thing. Yeah. I like all that. I just don't know. I don't know if I care enough about Wonder Man.
We'll see.
We'll see. Anything more you want to say about the Korvac Saga?
I think that wraps it up for me. Non-essential Avengers reading.
Love seeing the old Guardians.
Has fun moments.
Yeah. Love Beast. Yeah. Love that lineup. All right. Carl, if people wanted to learn more about you and learn about the comics that you make because you're a cartoonist, where would you tell them to go?
You can go to www.carllucasdraws.com. You can reach me there. I have a submission form. You can join my mailing list. You can ask for commissions. Me and Kyle both do commissions on our respective websites. Ask me anything about Issues with Cartoons. Ask me anything about my work. I also have a shop there. And, Kyle, I think that's everything.
Okay. Did you talk about Shogun Bear Fights All Monsters?
Oh, yeah. I just finished a 144-page graphic novel.
That's all.
Called Shogun Bear Fights All Monsters. Kyle has a beautiful pinup in it.
Aww.
In fact, a lot of my buddies did pinups for the book. I'm really happy with
strong
it.
Pinup
yeah,
section.
Keith Newsom did some pieces for it. We got Brandon Mullins is in there. Robbie Mendelez is in there.
J.M. Hunter's in there. Mel Seeley's in there.
Yeah. It's really fun. There's my story from O Comics. Bob Corby's anthology is in the book with a new black and white cover. But yeah, it's like a 100-page Shogun Bear story. Shogun Bear defends this island from a lot of his recurring villains riding giant monsters. So it's just a big Godzilla homage.
Yeah, it's a samurai polar bear fighting kaiju.
Yeah. What else?
Definitely down your alley. It has to be because it sounds amazing.
It's a lot of different genres, very anime inspired.
Of course. Yeah. No one knew that. Makes sense. Ko-fi.com/kylewindle. You can find Cornelius Armstrong, which is my Circus Bear Strongman comic. You can get Thunder Duck, a mini comic I made about a superhero duck with electric powers. You can read Mad Science Rejects, the mini comic I made about my Mad Science Fair project. Misfits, who have to find science projects that could destroy the world if they don't get there first. I am in the process of creating and developing a long-form graphic novel, The Savage Tales of the Dinosaurs.
Very Conan.
Conan the Barbarian if he were dinosaurs. And that is in development. You can follow me on my social medias, on Bluesky, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and that's probably it. To follow along my development process of that project, and you can find all of my offerings on Ko-fi.com/kylewindle. The show Issues with Cartoons is also on social media. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Bluesky, Threads, and Facebook and YouTube and Spotify. You can email us, contact@issueswithcartoons.com, rank your Avengers events, and make sure you tell us where Korvac Saga fits in that ranking. Go back into our archive, listen to our previous coverage of Avengers, listen to our coverage of Daredevil when we were prepping for Daredevil Born Again, our coverage of All-Star Superman and our review of the James Gunn Superman movie, our coverage of the Galactus Saga and its various adaptations, and our review of the First Steps film, and any other projects that we may be covering. We did a ranking of Batman, we did a ranking of Spider-Man, We'll do a ranking at this time. We have not released or recorded a ranking of Superman. We've done a ranking of our top 5 animated superhero cartoon shows.
There's a lot in the back catalog.
There's a lot
to explore,
and it's all for free. So please listen, rate, and review, and share it with your friends. Until next time, more issues to come.
Stay tuned.